You see them everywhere. The guy who just closed a deal suddenly posts his car keys next to an espresso. The woman who got promoted can't help but tell everyone in the group chat. The entrepreneur who made their first 100,000 and immediately changes their lifestyle so visibly that the entire neighborhood knows it. And then, slowly, they disappear, not from life, but from relevance, from power, from the inner circles where real wealth compounds. Because they made the mistake that has destroyed more fortunes than any market crash ever could. They showed off. And showing off is the death certificate of hidden power. This isn't about false humility. This isn't about performing modesty while secretly ego-tripping. This is about something darker and infinitely more strategic. This is about understanding that the moment you reveal what you have handed your opponents the exact map they need to take it from you. The most powerful people on this planet understand something that the masses never will. They know that invisibility is the most valuable currency that exists. And yet, despite seeing the evidence everywhere, most people cannot stop themselves from broadcasting every single victory, every milestone, every inch of progress they make. Think about the last time you told someone about a success. Really think about it. What happened next? Maybe they congratulated you. Sure. But did you notice something shifted? Did you see how they looked at you differently afterward? Or how they suddenly started finding reasons to come to you with problems they thought you could solve? Or worse, how they became distant, competitive, resentful? That shift is real, and it is not an accident. It is the tax that comes with exposure. The hidden rule that separates the truly wealthy from those who play at wealth is this: never let them see you build. Build in silence, grow in secret, compound in darkness, and when you finally emerge so transformed, so elevated, so undeniable that nobody can pretend they did not miss something fundamental about you. This is what Machiavelli understood when he wrote that a prince should appear merciful, faithful, humane, sincere, and religious. Not because he needed to be these things, but because he needed to be perceived in a way that served his strategy. Control the image, control the narrative, control what people see, because what they see is what they will believe, and what they believe determines what power they will grant you. The moment you show off, you forfeit control. You trade strategic advantage for a few moments of validation. You exchange long-term leverage for short-term dopamine. And the universe has a way of punishing that transaction immediately. The price you pay is immediate, and it is brutal. When you brag about money, you create obligations. Suddenly you are the person everyone calls when they need to borrow. You are the safety net. You are the solution. You are no longer a mystery to navigate around. You are a resource to exploit. When you broadcast your goals, you invite scrutiny. You signal your ambitions to everyone who has a reason to stop you. Your competitors know exactly what you are building toward. Your haters know exactly where to aim. Your jealous acquaintances know exactly what to sabotage. You have handed them your entire blueprint. When you flaunt your connections, you create debt. Every person you name drop, every network you advertise having access to, these become things that others feel entitled to. Your value shifts from being a strategist to being a connector. Your autonomy shrinks, your obligations grow, and suddenly you are managing everyone else's expectations instead of executing your own vision. When you display your possessions, you paint a target. In the modern world, that target is psychological. Envy is real. Envy is powerful. And envy does not create connection. It creates distance, resentment, and premeditated sabotage from people who smile at your face. But here is the deeper truth that almost nobody grasps. The moment you expose something, you have surrendered your leverage over it. If nobody knows you want something, you are free to pursue it strategically, to negotiate from hidden strength, to move without resistance. But the second you reveal your desire, you have elevated everyone else's ability to negotiate with you. They can see the hunger in your eyes. They can smell the desperation, and they will price you accordingly. Silence is not weakness. Silence is armor. Silence is the strategic moat that separates those who build wealth from those who inherit it, steal it, or destroy it, chasing validation. The first law of staying invisible is this: your silence protects your leverage. When you refuse to broadcast, when you refuse to perform, when you refuse to let the world see the machinery of your progress, you create what strategists call plausible deniability. Nobody knows exactly what you are capable of. Nobody knows exactly what you are working on. Nobody knows your timeline, your capacity, your reach. And that uncertainty, that is power. A CEO who keeps her expansion plans quiet can negotiate with investors, suppliers, and competitors from a position they cannot quite locate. They cannot prepare defenses against what they do not see coming. They cannot price you out. They cannot position themselves in advance. She moves while they are still guessing whether she is moving at all. An entrepreneur who does not broadcast his strategy stays 3 steps ahead of every copycat and competitor trying to mimic his moves. By the time they see what he is doing, he is already pivoting. By the time they understand his model, he has already evolved it. The silence bought him time. The invisibility brought him compounding. A person who does not announce their ambitions can fail privately, iterate privately, and adjust privately. They are not defending their choices to a jury of half-interested followers. They are not managing expectations. They are simply building. And when the building produces results undeniable enough to speak for themselves, they emerge not as someone who failed along the way, but as someone who succeeded completely. This is the power that secrecy converts. Secrecy converts invisible progress into irreversible advantage. It converts private learning into public dominance. It converts hidden struggle into an undeniable victory. Think about every major acquisition you have heard about that shocked the market. The buyer kept it quiet. The seller kept it quiet. The terms stayed private. And then, one day, the world found out, and everyone else was already locked out. That is a silent weaponized. The second principle of invisible power is far more subtle and far more dangerous. You must become underestimated, and not through false humility or performance, through strategic presence. When you are underestimated, you are free. You are free to observe without being observed. You are free to move without being anticipated. You are free to access conversations, opportunities, and circles that would not invite in someone who seemed dangerous or threatening. Underestimation is not an accident, it is cultivated. And the psychology behind it is this: people believe what they see, they believe what they perceive, and if you can control what they perceive about your capacity, your ambition, your reach, you control whether they see you as a threat. A predator does not announce that it is about to hunt. A hunter does not walk loudly through the forest. The person with the most power in any room is often the one who seems to have the least, the quiet one, the listener. The person is asking questions instead of making statements, because being perceived as non-threatening gives you access. It gives you the freedom to be present in spaces that aggressive, ambitious people are actively excluded from. And access is everything. When you are visibly ambitious, you become competition. People close ranks around you. Information dries up. Opportunities get redirected. You are seen as a rival instead of a confidant. But when you are underestimated, when you seem harmless, when you seem less capable than you actually are, people lower their guard. They share, they reveal, they trust. And from that trust comes intelligence. From that intelligence comes an advantage. From that advantage comes power. The third hidden law is even more primal than the first two. You must hide what you value. And this is where most people completely fail to understand Machiavellian power. When you broadcast what you want, you have handed your opponent your control switch. Your desires become their leverage. Think about a negotiation. The person who cares less about the outcome has all the power. The person who visibly needs the deal desperately has already lost. Negotiators call this position, but the deepest version of position is controlling what your opponent thinks you value. If you want something visibly, you have lost. If you need something desperately and everyone sees it, you have already surrendered. But if nobody knows what you want, if your desires are hidden, you can negotiate from pure strategy instead of from visible hunger. This applies to status. This applies to relationships. This applies to careers. The moment you reveal that you desperately want to be liked by someone, that person has gained power over you. They can withdraw affection and you feel the loss immediately. They can offer crumbs and you are grateful. But if they do not know how much you value their approval, if they perceive you as indifferent to their judgment, suddenly the dynamic flips. They are trying to win your respect instead of you chasing theirs. This is why the most attractive people in any room are often those who seem the least interested in being liked. It is not a coincidence. It is the physics of perception. When you stop broadcasting your needs, you become mysterious. When you are mysterious, people project onto you what they want to see. When people project their own desires onto you, they become invested in you. And when they are invested in you, you have leveraged their own psychology to create a connection without desperation. Obscure your values. Create emotional immunity by detaching from the outcome, not through suppression, not through numbness, but through strategic distance. Stop posting about what matters to you. Stop mentioning the relationships you are trying to build. Stop advertising your dreams. Let people discover your values through your actions, not through your words. And by then, it is too late for them to use that knowledge against you. Now here is where theory becomes strategy. Building in darkness is the actual mechanism through which invisible wealth compounds. This is not theoretical. This is the playbook that every person in the top percentile of wealth and power has executed. They invest quietly, they network outside of public spaces, they experiment with ideas nobody knows about, they fail privately, they win with nobody watching, and by the time the public catches wind, the momentum is so powerful that trying to stop it is futile. A stealth investment is powerful because you've accumulated a position before anyone knew the game was being played. By the time competitors realize that space is valuable, you already own most of it. You already have leverage. You are not competing for scraps. You are picking which opportunities to allow others. Quiet networking is powerful because you build relationships based on substance instead of performance. You are not impressing people with what you project. You are connecting with people because you are genuinely useful to each other. These connections hold up, they compound, they lead somewhere because they are not based on optics. They are based on real value exchange. Private experiments are powerful because you are learning at scale without creating predictable patterns that competitors can study and counter. You are adjusting your strategy. You are finding what works. And when you finally go public with the refined version, it is already optimized, it is already proven, it is already undeniable. This is why people who build in public often plateau. Everyone sees them building, everyone sees them fail. Everyone sees them adjust. And while they are being observed and critiqued, they are limited by the need to maintain consistency. The person building in darkness has no such limit. They can experiment freely, they can change course, they can evolve without needing to explain themselves to an audience. The compounding effect is mathematical. If you are building for 2 years and nobody knows, and then you emerge with the fully realized version, you have just created a discontinuity in the market. You have created something that seems to appear from nowhere, and that appearance of sudden inevitability is far more powerful than if people had watched you struggle for 2 years. Stealth compounds, secrecy compounds, invisibility compounds, public performance depletes. The fifth principle of hidden power is the weaponization of mystery itself. This is the advanced move. This is where you are no longer just hidden. You are curating what people do see, and what they see creates myths that freeze your opponents and buy you time. Mystery works because human psychology fills in blanks. You never have to say you are more capable than you are. People will infer it if you leave enough ambiguity. You never have to claim you have more reach than you do. People will assume it if you are selective about what you reveal. You never have to announce your strategy. People will project their worst fears onto your silence, which is often more powerful than any statement you could make. This is fragmented opacity. This is the art of disclosure without revelation. This is saying just enough to create questions instead of providing answers. A strategic post that does not explain itself. A comment that raises more questions than it settles. A public appearance that leaves people wondering what is really happening beneath the surface. When you master this, you create what strategists call a fog around your intentions. People cannot quite read you, they cannot quite predict you, they cannot quite categorize you. And that fog is where power lives. The reason this works is that people are meaning-making machines. Give them incomplete information, and they will construct narratives. They will tell stories. They will develop theories. And often, the stories they tell themselves are far more intimidating than the truth. The theory they develop is far more paralyzing than reality. The narrative they construct makes you far more powerful in their minds than you actually are. So you do not have to be as powerful as they think you are. You just have to be mysterious enough that they cannot rule it out. You do not have to have moved as far as they fear. You just have to remain ambiguous about your position. You do not have to be as connected as they suspect. You just have to be selective enough about what you share that they cannot be sure. And while they are processing that uncertainty, you are executing, you are moving, you are compounding, you are operating from complete clarity while they are operating from educated guesses. That asymmetry is power. But here is what changes everything. Here is what forces this entire framework from being a set of interesting ideas into being a primal requirement for anyone who wants to actually achieve something significant. You have to make a choice. And that choice is between approval and power. Because you cannot have both. The system does not allow it. The moment you choose approval, you have surrendered power. The moment you choose power, you must abandon approval. Most people think this is negotiable. They think they can have both. They think they can build something significant while remaining liked by everyone. They think they can accumulate real wealth while keeping their personal brand palatable to the masses. They think they can move strategically while performing everything they do. They are wrong. And they discover this the hard way, after years of movement that goes nowhere because it was all performance, all positioning, all appearance. After years of decisions that were constrained by what people would think. After years of visibility that prevented real growth, because real growth requires privacy. The choice is simple. Simple does not mean easy, but it is simple. You can chase applause, you can perform, you can broadcast, you can remain visible, relatable, and likable. And you can end your life having experienced the reward of being liked by people who do not know you, who never knew the real you, who knew only the version you performed for them. Or you can adopt invisibility as identity. You can choose to be known only by results. You can choose to be mysterious. You can choose to let people wonder. You can choose to build without narrating. You can choose to move without announcing. And you can end your life having actually built something, having actually moved, having actually compounded power in ways that transformed your trajectory and the trajectories of everyone you genuinely cared about. Because here is the truth that separates strategists from everyone else. The people you are trying to impress do not matter. The people you are trying to be liked by are not in the inner circles where real decisions get made. The people you are performing for are not at the table where actual leverage is distributed. They are in the audience. And the audience does not inherit power. The audience never inherits anything. The audience performs gratitude, while the strategists distribute resources. Machiavelli wrote that it is better to be feared than to be loved. He was wrong on one point. It is better to be neither. It is better to be unknown, to be underestimated, to be the invisible hand that moves markets nobody knew were being moved, to be the person who appeared from nowhere because nobody was paying attention to where you were building. This requires abandoning the need to be seen. This requires accepting that most people will never know what you actually built. This requires making peace with the fact that your work will be attributed to others, underestimated by the masses and fully understood only by the small circle of people who are actually paying attention. And if that sounds lonely, you are still thinking like someone who wants approval. Because it is not lonely, it is liberated, it is focused, it is powerful, it is free. Here is your challenge. Here is where this moves from philosophy to action. Identify one thing right now that you are showing off. One thing you are broadcasting. One thing you are performing visibility around. Could be a goal, it could be a relationship, it could be a possession, could be a project, it could be a piece of knowledge, could be a connection, could be a skill. Identify it, acknowledge it. And then, starting today, stop. Stop posting about it. Stop mentioning it. Stop using it as part of your social performance. Take it offline, make it private, let it compound in darkness. Because that one thing removed from broadcast becomes a source of leverage instead of a source of validation. That one choice, to hide instead of show, becomes the first step in a completely different trajectory. The transformation happens silently. The people around you will not notice. They might ask where you have gone. They might ask why you have become quieter. They might interpret your silence as withdrawal or arrogance or indifference. Let them. Their interpretation is not your problem. Their narrative is not your responsibility. Your responsibility is to choose power over praise, to choose a strategy over applause, to choose leverage over validation, to choose the identity of a strategist over the performance of someone seeking to be liked. And when they ask you, years from now, how you built what you built, how you moved where they could not follow, how you created what seemed to appear from nowhere, you will not tell them the full truth. You will remain mysterious. You will offer fragments. You will let them wonder. Because the moment you explain it, it stops working. The moment you reveal the mechanism, the magic dies. The moment you make it visible, you make it replicable. And you do not share the mechanism. You do not explain the power. You simply become it. So here is your declaration. Here is what I need you to take from this. Type in the comments one thing, one specific thing that you will hide today. One thing you are going to take offline. One thing you are going to remove from your broadcast. One thing that becomes private, strategic, and invisible. Because declaring it, even privately, is the moment you shift. The moment you move from observer to participant. The moment you move from someone who understands the theory to someone who is executing the strategy. Your silence is power. Your invisibility is an advantage. Your mystery is leverage. The moment you stop showing off is the moment you start building something real. That is when the game actually begins.